guys, welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the month yet again. It's the end of January, which means it is time for a new TBR video. I'm so excited. I actually just finished my January TBR. So if you guys want to see all of that and like little ins and outs and what I read and what I didn't, go watch my new vlog. It was posted before this of my reading for the month of January. We had some good ones. We had one DNF, I think, and then a couple books that I actually decided to unhaul from my TBR. They weren't necessarily DNFs because I didn't read any of them. Anyway, watch the video if you want to see which ones I'm talking about and kind of what went on. It was an interesting reading month, I must say. I did read a total of, I want to say 11 books, which my physical TBR goal was 10 books, and not all of the books I read were from that, my physical TBR, but we had some good ones, so make sure you watch that video. One of the best months ever, because it's actually my birth month. I'm turning 24 this year. I almost said 25, like, calm down, girl. I'm turning 24 this year on the 25th of February, so it's my birth month. It's like, I love February. Like, I've just always loved February. I just think it's such a cute month. Got less days, you know. She's like unique. She's special. She's cool. Let's generate some numbers. If you guys didn't see my January TBR, I have random number generator on my laptop. Pick a book from each one of my 10 shelves. Well, like 10 shelves of my I have 3 bookshelves, and there's 10 shelves on each, or 10 shelves in total of books. I have like about 20 books on each shelf. So I'm going to have random number generator, pick 1 through 20, and then I go out and count, and I pick whatever the book is that it picks. I have to read that one for the month. So I end up having a total of 10 books from my physical TBR, and then we'll go through them and kind of talk about what genres they are, what they're about. You know the deal. So that's kind of how I am liking to do my TBR right now. I did it for January. We're going to do it again for February and see how I feel about it. If I end up having some more DNFs or books I just take off my TBR because I'm not interested in them anymore, that's cool too. No biggie. We can always read other books. Reading is to your own mood, your own style, your own, likes. You can do whatever you want with it, and that's what makes it fun, and it doesn't have to be like you stick to the TBR. I was making myself feel bad about the fact that I took a few books off my TBR from January. But it's just my liking. If I'm not gonna like a book and I don't want to read it, then I don't need to. So yeah, anyway, let's go pick some books. I'm gonna start with my black shelf like I did last time. That one has 5 shelves on it, and so we're gonna pick 5 books. 5 numbers. Generate 19. You can't even see it. I'm just gonna tell you guys what it is, and I'll just write it down on here and we'll go pick them out. It's gonna be 10, 5. Okay, we got 5 and then we got 6. Need 1 more for the shelf. 13. So I'm just gonna do the rest of the generating, and then we'll go pick the books and go over what we got. Okay guys, let's jump into the good stuff. The most exciting part, which is going over what books I got. And I got a lot. I have quite the reading journey this month, but I'm excited for it, I think. First shelf, my black bookshelf, I have The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. The book kind of follows like historical themes, but also having of his own, Erik Larson's own storytelling thrown in there. I think that this book is going to be fantastic. I've had this book on my TBR forever, and I'm just so excited to dive into it. This book is set in 1893 in Chicago, and it follows two different men, the architect who built the 1893 famous World Fair, and then another man who is actually a serial killer who lured his victims to this fair to kill them. I think that this book is going to be so intriguing. It has those historical elements of the 1893 World Fair while also following this own like storytelling, his own storytelling and his own writing, and I think that this is going to be so good. I've been wanting to read this book for so long, and I've thought about taking it off my bookshelf because I was like, I just don't know when I'm ever going to get to it, but this is going to be the month that we take a real crack at it, so I'm so excited. On our second shelf, this is actually a reread for me, but it's Those Who Save Us by Jenna Bloom. This book I actually read when I was like 10 years old. Edda behind me. So my next door neighbor had two kids that were like around my age. One was a little bit older, one was like a few years younger. And we would all play together at their house. And I don't know why, but I was like really into reading at this age, and I randomly picked up a book off her shelf, and this was the book. I ended up loving this book, and I for years was trying to figure out what this book was called because I just loved it so much, and I ended up finding it again, and I'm going to read it again. I say I love it, but it's a super heartbreaking story about World War II. The book is set 50 years into the future. It kind of has that past and present element. And our main character, Trudy, was 3 years old when her mother and her were liberated by an American soldier and went to live with him in Minnesota. And it follows their journey throughout her life as a child and her mother's life during the liberation, and kind of like set out to investigate her past and figure out what happened, as like her mother is not willing to tell her like anything about her past or talk about anything to do with that time in her life, and it's super heartbreaking. The story is so like, it's such a tough read. I can't believe I read it as a kid. I remember there being a lot of really like tough points in this book. There are things in this book that have stuck in my brain for over 10 years now, almost like 14 years now. So I'm just looking forward to reading this book again. And yeah. Third book we have is Her Fearful Symmetry. The book follows two girls who are 20 years old. They're twins. They're extremely close, tight-knit. They're living in Chicago. They just don't really have any interest in anything. And they end up getting a letter delivered from a London solicitor stating that their English aunt Elspeth has died, left them her London apartment. So they end up moving there together, but there are two rules to their inheritance. They have to live in it for a year before they can sell it, and their parents can never enter it. Elspeth and Edie, their mother, were actually also twins, and they were estranged. They end up moving into the London flat and meeting a bunch of the people that also live in the apartment building, and it basically just follows their story as they're meeting all these people and figuring out things about their past and their mother and their aunt's relationship. And I think it's gonna be really good. I am so excited. I love historical fiction type books and like mysteries and stuff like that, so I think this is gonna be really good. Then we have Today Will Be Different by Maria Semple, which is the author of Where'd You Go, Bernadette. This was like a super popular book when I was a kid, and I never read it, but I think that this book is going to be really good. The cover is like so interesting. It looks so like anxious thought-esque. It's kind of supposed to be like a funny, like humorous book about a woman who is just kind of trying to do her best and like go about her daily life, and everything ends up going wrong. Her kid ends up just like going on a rampage. She figures out that her husband's cheating on her, and there ends up getting like, so she ends up running into someone who like unearths something that could like, you know, a family secret, and ends up losing it. And I think it's supposed to be like a really like humorous light book, and I just think it's gonna be really fun to read. So I don't know that much about it, but I think it's gonna be fun. I have A Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. This is a classic prose book, classic, you know, 999 line poem, you know, it's fine. I do have a classic shelf, so there is a good chance that I'm going to have a classic every single month, and this is what we got so far, so I'm hoping it'll be good. I've read some I don't remember if I've read any Nabokov yet or not. I think I always get him confused with Kafka, but I don't think I've read any of his work yet. But I am excited to, because I've been wanting to read more of my classic books, so, and like really get through the classics on my shelf, so I am going to be reading this one this month. Moving on to the next shelf, we have Ann Rule's Every Breath You Take. This was a book that I thrifted. It says, a true story of obsession, revenge, and murder. Yeah. Follows Sheila, who was married to a man named Alan Blackthorne, who was like a multimillionaire, a charmer, really violent. He was very abusive. He was very controlling and sociopathic, and he actually was like continued to stalk her and terrorize her for a decade after their divorce. And she was then remarried, and when she was murdered, she was actually remarried and had 4 children, and she was violently murdered in front of her 4 toddlers. And this book follows her story, written by Ann Rule, and I think that this is going to be really interesting. I actually, when I got this book, had no idea that what it was about at all. I didn't know it was like a true crime story. So I think that this is going to be really interesting. If you guys know me at all, you know I love Rotten Mango podcast. So this is kind of like a true account, you know, book. And I haven't read a book like this ever before, I don't think. So I am very excited to read this one, even though it is incredibly sad. Then we have The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. I've actually already tried to start this book before, I think, but I didn't ever really get into it that much. I honestly don't know that much about this book. I just know that it follows a family living in a house at Riverton, and I think that there's some mystery element to it. I'm not too sure though, but I am looking forward to this one. I just think it might be kind of hard to get into, but it is like historical fiction and, you know, a little bit of mystery, so I am kind of looking forward to this one, but we'll see. My bookshelf that is more like new releases and stuff like that, so that is what I have on the shelf. And I actually happened to get one of the books that I was going to add to my TBR anyway, because I've really been wanting to finish up a lot of the books from this author, and that is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas. I have been wanting to read this book for so long. The only thing that I think I'm going to add is the novella Frost and Starlight, I think, or something like that, that comes before this book, I'm pretty sure. I've only heard good things about this book. I am so excited to finish this series. I don't know what is taking me so long. Like, I've owned this book forever. I just really want to get through it. It's so huge. I'm so excited though. I think it's going to be so good. If you guys haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses, this is the 4th book in that series, I believe. And I've read all of the other ones. I love them. I read them like when I was just like a teenager, and I was obsessed with them. I was obsessed. And like I feel like they're having a comeback a little bit, but I still haven't finished like any of her series. I think it's just because I'm like nervous to actually be done with the series, but like I want to finish the series so that I can know everything that's going on and all the hype that everyone else talks about. Because I also want to try and finish the Throne of Glass series this year, and I need to start the Crescent City books, because literally in 2 days the 3rd book is coming out in that series, and I want to finish all these books, and I want to read them. So we're starting with this one because this is the series that I can finish the fastest. I want to say I'm on like book 6 or something in the Throne of Glass series, so I don't have that much left to read in that series either, but we're gonna finish this one first because this is the one that I started first. So I'm so excited. I didn't get back into the book of the month. I got like a deal for it, so I just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna read it. I'm just gonna get it again. So I decided to get Tomb Sweeping by Alexandra Chang. Compelling and perceptive, Tomb Sweeping probes the loyalties we hold to relatives, to strangers, and to ourselves. In stories set across the US and Asia, Alexandra Chang immerses us in the lives of immigrant families, grocery store employees, expecting parents, and guileless lab assistants. Say a bunch of like short stories, or it follows a bunch of different people. I think it's going to be so interesting. I thought the cover was so beautiful. I think it's going to be super impactful and like a really good read, and it's also just like gorgeous. So I'm really excited for this one. Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. This was the last one on my shelf, and I'm really excited for this one too, because although I did not like the first book in the Knock 'Em Out series as much as I was hoping I would, I'm hoping that this one is the second one. I'm hoping that I do like this one a little bit more, maybe. I don't know, I just always had a good feeling about this one. Even though I've not heard the greatest of things about this one, I am looking forward to it. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll probably have another vlog up this month of like what I've been reading, what's going on, how I'm feeling about everything. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you guys subscribe, give this video a like, and don't forget to stay tuned for my next videos and the rest of my videos, the wrap-ups, the TBRs. I'm so excited for all of the bookish content this year, and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye!